The world lost a true icon in May 2023 when Tina Turner, born Anna Mae Bullock, passed away at age 83. An incredible performer, a musical legend, and an inspiration to many, Tina left an indelible mark on music and in pop culture in general over her 7-decade career. Now, as part of our Divas series, the Great Pop Culture Debate wants to look back at Tina's storied career and attempt to determine the best Tina Turner single of all time. Like Tina, I also want to make $1 million, and I also want to live by the sea. Sadly, I'm not a dancer, private or otherwise. I'm your host, Eric Resniak. Please help me welcome my panelists for this episode. My first panelist is simply the best. She's better than all the rest. It's Amma Marfo.
Well, I will definitely take that, and I hope you'll hang on every word I say.
I was going to say, I do hang on every word you say, Amma, and I'm so glad that you keep coming back. Next, his Nutbush can be frequently found outside the city limits. It's Derek Makita.
What can I say? I'm just a typical male.
And I have known you to break every rule. Finally, we have an extra special guest panelist for this episode. She is one hell of a proud Mary. Please welcome Mrs. Kasha Davis, star of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 7 and RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star Season 8, and the creator of Imagination Station. Kasha has been a massive Tina Turner fan for many decades, and we are so honored to have her with us to celebrate the works of this late great icon. Welcome, Kasha.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. And you know, I live in Rochester, New York, and I don't know why, because I can't stand the rain.
Oh, amen, Kasha. And up in the producer booth, we have Curtis Creekmore, who doesn't care who's wrong or right. He doesn't want a fight. He just wants us to end this episode on time. Now, if you're curious about how we ended up with this Sweet 16, become a Patreon supporter of the podcast or listen to the 3-minute primer available wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, you can head to this episode on greatpopculturebait.com to find the listener bracket as well as every one of the songs we'll be discussing so you can play along with us at home. And with that out of the way, let's find out what lies beyond Thunderdome as we get into these debates. First, the majority of the panel wants one-seed Private Dancer to keep putting on a show, but Mrs. Kasha Davis is scandalized because she prefers 4-seed Shame, Shame, Shame. Kasha, tell us why you're feeling something about Shame, and you want us to know about it. Derek, buy our affections for Private Dancer. American Express will do nicely, thank you. Kasha, why don't you go first talking about Shame, Shame, Shame?
Shame, shame, shame. I will just say, first and foremost, for me, it was when I was introduced to Tina Turner, it was 1983, and I thought that the first thing she did was Private Dancer, and my mother was like, no, she was with Ike Turner, and she came here to Scranton, Pennsylvania, and she had all this other music, and I was able to go to the record store and find, and I found songs like Shame, 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 and it just, again, it was the 50s, 60s sound, but then you had this sort of like ballsy sort of sexual strength coming from it. And this was not something you would have expected from a female artist at the time. And so to me, that power and that strength at that time was just a reason why I believe that it is a song that cannot be put to the side.
I hear you. And I also, the reason I was introduced to this song was her performance with Cher on the Cher Show, 1975. And I didn't realize this. That was apparently the first time they had worked together. Cher and Tina was on that song.
Yes. And then, of course, there was a difficult time for Tina then. And she's divorced and trying to get work and trying to make a family happen and cleaning houses at the same time while she's getting out there and making a song like that, then all of a sudden work in the 70s and at that time with Cher. And it's a Bob Mackie costume, and I have the replica behind me. I could run back and get it if you need me to, if that will help. It's got the strips and the mirrors. But it's the whole idea that, again, these two women went through their divorces and at a time when it was extremely shameful.
Mm-hmm. And if you've never watched that clip, ladies and gentlemen, I will say when Tina passed, that one was one of the ones I saw circulating constantly because it is fire. Like the two of them are having a ball on that stage, and it's just the costumes that Kasha mentioned, everything about it is just 10 out of 10. It's amazing. Please give it a look on YouTube. It's easily findable. Derek, has Kasha swayed you, or are you going to stick with Private Dancer?
I think I'm going to stick with Private Dancer. I'm going to save my argument for later.
Okay. Amma, are you going to stick with Private Dancer, or has Kasha swayed you over to Shame, Shame, Shame?
I'm sticking with Private Dancer here.
Okay. I do want to say, in going back and redoing my research for this episode, I made a lot of knee-jerk decisions. And Kasha, this was a close one, almost as close as the next one we're going to talk about. But this was a very tight race. That being said, we will move Private Dancer into the next round. But good job, Kasha, in your defense. Next, it's another 3-1 split. The majority of the panel thinking that 2-seed the best is, well, the best. But Kasha wants to defend 3-seed typical male from the way we feel. I will argue why the best is better than all the rest. Kasha, all I want is a little reaction, just enough to tip the scales in favor of typical male. Kasha, why don't you go first?
Oh, well, she went into pop. She was one of the songs that really went out into the pop era. She was always about rock, and it was sexy, it was flirty, it was fun. And the first time I heard this song, I was mowing the lawn in 1986, and I was mowing the lawn and I was listening to the radio, and they said a new Tina Turner song was going to come out, and it came on, and I was dancing like a fool, a straight back then, by the way, dancing like a fool, mowing the lawn at my Aunt Olga's house. And she was like, what is happening? And I'm like, it's a new Tina Turner song. It's typical male. And so she was like, yeah, gay. But yeah, so to me, it was after doing the research and finding all the records and listening to all the things that were back before Private Dancer, I thought it was brave and fun, and it was new for her.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, I had never heard this song until we started doing our research for this podcast. Has anyone, Amma, had you heard it?
I have. Yeah, I'm familiar with it, and it is quite good. I like it a great deal.
Yeah, and Derek, were you aware of it before we started working on this?
Tangentially, yes. It's not a song that I have heard as much as some of the others in these brackets. I will own up to being slightly a neophyte to Tina Turner's like full catalog, so I was happy to kind of delve into some of the lesser known tracks, but I had heard it. Yes.
I gotta say, when I started doing research for this and listening, this is a close one, and I didn't think it was gonna be, because the best is great. I'm gonna talk about why it's great, but boy, typical male, if you've never heard it, it is everything Kasha said. It is pop, it is sexy, it is fun. I was like, God damn it, this is a great song. That being said, I do want to, Derek, are you stuck on the best, or are you open to switching?
I think I'm sticking with the best.
Amma, are you gonna stick with the best, or are you open to switching to typical male?
So I'm going to stick with the best. I love typical male so much, and I do enjoy it a great deal. Honestly, some days more than the best, but I do think that if you were to say, like, who do you associate, like, what song do you associate Tina Turner with, the best is going to come up pretty quickly, along with a few other things later in the bracket. So that factored into my decision-making as well.
That being said, I think we are 3 for the best. Kasha did a great job, and I was very close to switching to typical male. I just want you to know that. Here's the good news. Next, it's a unanimous decision, as the entire panel took the direction of 1-seed Better Be Good to Me, meaning that 4-seed Disco Inferno was put on ice, but Derek wanted to say something briefly on disco. Derek, burn this mother down.
Oh, what a surprise. I'm talking about disco. I totally get it. Better Be Good to Me absolutely should advance here, but I did want to give Tina's cover of Disco Inferno some lovin', since she recorded her version in 1993, just when American audiences were coming back around to the joy that was disco. And it's such a great version. Tina adds a heavy helping of soul into what is mostly known to be a disco funk staple, she's kind of making it her own. Just like so many of her covers, she makes it her own.
Yeah, we talked about this in the Whitney Houston episode as well, that there were a lot of covers for these two artists, but in almost every single case, the artist who covered them made them their songs. And I think both Tina and Whitney had that ability. Thank you. With that being said, Better Be Good to Me will advance to the next round. Next, the majority of the panel is currently mad to the max over 2-seed We Don't Need Another Hero. But Kasha wants to weather the storm by pushing 3-seed I Can't Stand the Rain. Amma, tell the children, the last generation, if you will, why Hero should be saved this round. Kasha, tell us how sweet it could be if we stayed together with Window. Kasha, please go first.
So, I mean, again, as you just mentioned, Tina was one of the queens of remakes and making them her own. I Can't Stand the Rain. I wish I could remember the original artist.
And people.
Thank you. A different take on it. And why I love I Can't Stand the Rain so much is I don't know how many times I saw Tina Turner live. When that song is sung live, there is basically all the storm coming out of her. And I think being this kind of spiritual goddess that she was, this energy that came out of her when she sang that was energy and weather. And when she did that, I remember her dancing on the stage and jumping up to the piano and singing along, and just it was just electrifying. So to me, she took a song that was sort of like fun and cute and pop and made it into basically electrifying fire.
Great argument. Amma, do you want to talk to us about We Don't Need Another Hero?
Yes, I have some things to say about this. So first, having seen her live, Kasha, I can't even imagine. Like, that sound, I got chills when you said that. I was like, I wish that was an experience that I would have gotten at some point. And this song in particular, this is another one that, like, from the technical proficiency piece is so close to me between these two songs. They're both so good. There are no bad choices on this bracket, so I'm just going to keep saying that. I would push for We Don't Need Another Hero for a couple reasons. One, I really love stumping for a lost era of movie soundtracks. They don't do it like they used to. And there is another option that was on this bracket that unfortunately got unanimously taken out by a different song. So this is the soundtrack representation that we have. And like what it gave to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome was so wonderful. And like it being so strongly associated with that and her role in it, that was something I just couldn't ignore. And then there is also, again, the generational split of like, I Can't Stand the Rain. It is a Tina Turner song. It was an Ann Peebles song, but generationally, a lot of us know it as a sample from a Missy Elliott song. Sure. And in some cases, you could make the case that that's Tina's influence stretching into another generation. But at the end of the day, that then muddies, if you have to think of a Tina Turner song, whose is it? So for those reasons, I chose We Don't Need Another Hero, but gosh, this was close for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Kasha's bringing up the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome album. That is beautiful. My God.
And then I've got, of course.
Oh, the cover of Rolling Stone with her and Mel Gibson.
And
stunning.
Posters galore. But, that song and her role, she was so insistent that she did not play her life in the movies. And she wanted to act. And with Auntie Entity and just the strength and doing her own stunts and driving the car and all the different things that she did, it shows the strength that she had, which really I think gave people who were struggling in life even more strength to see her in that role versus playing the life that she survived. And I think that is what comes through in that song is like, don't be that hero, like, stand up for yourself.
Yeah. And Derek, where are you?
I'm still with We Don't Need Another Hero. I do think it's the correct pick if you're going to move forward a soundtrack song in these brackets. We'll get, obviously we talk about GoldenEye later, but I'm still with We Don't Need Another Hero.
All right. So is it all or nothing? No, I'm just kidding. So we will be missing We Don't Need Another Hero. Excuse me. We will be moving We Don't Need Another Hero into round 2. This time, I'm the one on the outs, as the majority of the panel wants to keep rolling down the river with 1 seed Proud Mary, while I have 4 seed GoldenEye in my sights. Derek, while you and I might ourselves be easy, speak on Proud Mary and explain why we never, ever do anything nice and easy. I will try to find your weakness as I spy for GoldenEye. I'll go first. So, Proud Mary absolutely deserves to advance here, but I could not let GoldenEye go without talking about it. It's crazy that this is the 4-seed song. This was the theme song to the 1995 reboot of the Bond franchise, with Pierce Brosnan stepping into the role of the iconic spy. By the way, if you have not yet listened to it, check out our Best James Bond Film episode. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, there was a concerted effort to make Bond legits again with this movie, and that included bringing in a big gun, pun intended, to do the theme song. That would be Miss Tina Turner, who absolutely knocked this out of the park. Tina was a return to the bombastic Shirley Bassey Bond themes of the 60s and 70s, and this song, funny enough, written by Bono and The Edge of U2, became a global smash, even if it wasn't super successful in the US itself. The song is sexy, it's bold, it's a little dangerous, and just like Bond himself. Fun fact, Ace of Base was initially going to do the theme song for GoldenEye, but were pulled because their managers feared the movie would be a flop. So thank you, Ace of Base, for giving us this killer track.
That feels like a fundamentally different movie. Like, nothing about the movie changes, but when Ace of Base does GoldenEye, that's a different movie.
Right?
Yes, I also think there's just like a separate timeline somewhere exists where Ace of Base did that song, and like the world is completely different.
Who's president there now?
Xenia Onatop is the
That's
president
exactly
now.
who is the president, yes.
Amma, have I convinced you, or are you going to stick with Proud Mary here?
You can't. Like,
Yeah.
valiant effort, but you can't.
Derek, are you sticking with Proud Mary?
I am. I'm going to stick with it.
Kasha, are you sticking with Proud Mary here?
Absolutely. I mean, Proud Mary, she never missed the mark when she performed Proud Mary, and could deliver the choreography, and she could deliver the song. And it just is incredible what she did as, again, another a remake of a song.
Yeah, absolutely. And without question, Proud Mary should advance here, and it will move into round 2. Next, it's another 3/4 split as the bulk of the panel wants to protect 2-seed I Don't Want to Fight, while Kasha wants to go back to Tina's early days with 3-seed Nutbush City Limits. Amma, there's a pale moon in the sky, so please make a wish for Don't Want to Fight to continue into round 2. Kasha, church house, gin house, schoolhouse, outhouse, pick any venue you like as you defend Nutbush. Kasha, please go first.
She wrote it.
End of story.
That's it. I mean, it's the one song that she wrote. It's her life. It's the one that worked, that was able to be remade. She wrote the song, and they didn't want to record it, and gave her a tough time about it, and she did it, and it's her one song she wrote.
Yeah, that's a great point. Amma, do you want to talk about I Don't Want to Fight?
Yeah, I'm gonna, since you asked. Again, this is one of those that was just kind of in that sweet spot era for me. And I know we talk a little bit when we do some of the throwback episodes about sometimes things have an outsized influence because of when they hit you. And I think that when I was learning who Tina Turner was and how powerful she was, and I know I've talked about this in prior episodes, but there are eras of American music that, like, my sister and I learned on our own because our parents are immigrants, so they didn't really know any of the music that was like coming up, things like Motown and stuff like that. So a lot of this we kind of like found ourselves, thanks to the combined powers of Columbia House and BMG. When I was learning who Tina Turner was, this was one of those songs I was just like, oh, okay, that's what this is about. I love Nutbush City Limits. I love that it's her song and that she wrote it, and so much of it is about her. But in my heart, I Don't Want to Fight No More just is Tina to me.
Derek, where are you on this one?
I co-sign everything Amma just said.
Well, I do want to fight because I actually am switching my vote to Nutbush City Limits here. And I'll tell you why. Number one, it was for what Kasha mentioned. This is the only song on this list that is Tina's actual song. And not only did she write it, it's as close as an origin song for a human being that I think I've ever heard. Like, give me another origin song for an artist. I don't think you can. Tina wrote her own. And beyond that, I didn't realize that, yeah, it had success in the States. It peaked at number 11 on the R&B charts and number 22 on the Hot 100. But it was a massive hit in other countries, including, this is fascinating to me, in Australia, where it became a party staple for Gen X and beyond. And it has its own dance. Like, there's a Nutbush City Limit dance
Right.
in Australia, which is fascinating. So I have, Kasha, I am convinced I have switched to Nutbush. Unfortunately, it's a tie, and I Don't Want to Fight is the higher seed, so it will continue. Next, it's another unanimous victory as 1 seed What's Love Got to Do With It did, in fact, leave 4 seed Don't Leave Me This Way without any votes whatsoever. I do want to make sure people understand this is A, a lovely song, B, it's a very sweet song, and C, it is not a cover of the Thelma Houston song, if that's what you were thinking. It's an original, and it's really pretty. But it's going out, and What's Love Got to Do With It will advance to round 2. Finally, in round 1, it's another 3-1 split as the majority of the panel wants to stick with 2 seed Let's Stay Together, while I hope to keep duetting with 3 seed It's Only Love, her song with Bryan Adams. Amma, why do you want to continue with Stay Together? I will speak on Only Love. So I'm completely fine with this one going out, but I do want to talk about it. It came out in 1985 when both Tina and Bryan Adams were arguably at the height of their careers. This duet opens with a searing guitar line courtesy of Adams, and then the two of them engage in a full-throated sing-off. There is zero subtlety in this song when it comes to the vocals. It is just totally like belting. And Kasha's holding up is that the 45?
That's a 45.
That's a 45. It starts at an 11 and it stays at an 11 for the entire song. That's a perfectly good reason to move it out of the bracket. But it is probably the most rock out of all these tracks, and it was successful, peaking at number 15 on the Hot 100 and number 7 on the rock charts. Is it a good song? That's debatable, but it is a great showcase of the power of both of these artists. Are you sticking with Let's Stay Together?
I am, although I did want to point out that, like, as the resident Canadian of the panel, you would think I would stump for the Bryan Adams song, and I do really enjoy it. And when I was kind of reviewing all of the tracks as I did my bracket, I did really enjoy coming across this one because I hadn't thought about it in a while, but the Let's Stay Together is undeniable.
Let's keep it going. Derek, are you sticking with Let's Stay Together?
I am. You kind of lost me at Bryan Adams. I'm sorry.
Oh, now that's fighting words. But
we get that. Listen, yeah, we get that a lot, but I don't want to fight no more.
Exactly. Kasha, are you sticking with Let's Stay Together?
I am. Look at the maxi single and the 45.
Beautiful. And this was her first initial comeback song, right?
Yes.
So we will move Let's Stay Together into round 2, and that's the end of round 1. We're going to take a quick break to wipe down these steamy windows. We'll be right back after these messages. Do you want to watch more TV? Sure, we all do. But sometimes you just don't have the time to tune in, and you're still itching to know what happened. Well, for $0 a day, you can check out the Great Pop Culture Debate episode recaps. We cover some of your favorite television franchises so you can stay up to date without even watching. Head over to the blog section of greatpopculturedebate.com and make sure you never miss a moment. And we are back for round 2 of our Best Tina Turner Song debate. Before we get into the Elite Eight, I want our panelists to share their social media, what else they're working on, and their favorite memories of Tina Turner. Amma, why don't you go first?
All right, so I am on Instagram and YouTube at Amma Marfo. On YouTube, you can find my half-hour comedy special called Enjoy Your Nachos. It came out last year. Please watch it. It was a lot of fun to make. And my favorite Tina memory. My first year of grad school for Halloween, I went as Tina Turner. And we had a lot of fun. Yeah, was real committed to the costume and the dance moves associated with it, even though my legs are not as long.
Well, listen, Tina's legs are really unimpeachable. Like, nobody comes close to Tina's legs. What version of Tina were you?
It was like early 90s Tina. So like,
okay.
Early 90s, probably right before We Don't Need Another Hero, actually.
That would have been 80s.
80s. So right after then.
Okay. Great.
Right after, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Derek Makita, what are your socials? What else are you working on? And your favorite memory of Tina?
Yes, you can find me at DRKMKT on Instagram and Threads. Currently working on how to roll out my drag persona 24-hour Dinah to the world. We'll figure out how to get her into the world some more. My first Tina memory is actually, and it's probably the first time I had ever heard Tina's voice. I was standing in my grandmother's kitchen. I must have been 4 or 5 years old at the time, and What's Love Got to Do With It came on, and I didn't know anything about Tina Turner. Obviously, I was very young, but the raspiness in her voice was so similar to my one and only Aunt Bev, who was a great friend of my grandmother, who used to smoke I don't even know how many packs a day, but like she was one of those old women who, like, you know, I used to like, you know, cling on to as young gays do. And I just, the raspiness in her voice just connected with me, and it just, that memory is seared. It's a core memory for me.
Fascinating. Was she a Virginia Slim smoker?
Oh, she certainly was.
Of course she was, as any young lady should be. Thank you very much. Kasha Davis, what are your socials? What else are you working on? And can you tell me some of your favorite memories from Tina?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So first and foremost, Mrs. Kasha Davis. You can find me on Instasnatch, Twatter, and Faceplace. And on YouTube, I have so many different videos, but the two things that I'm focusing on right now would be my podcast, Auntie, and also Imagination Station. The 4 episodes are out. And I too am trying to do everything I can to ensure that my drag persona is out there in the world, doing what it can do, what wasn't there for me when I was a little boy, girl, gal, girl, boy, fella. So I would say, and then therefore we must see if we can do something together so we can help each other. In terms of my greatest memory, okay, so I dated a girl just because she was going to see Tina Turner, and she brought me back these photos. And this was
relatable content, honestly.
I wasn't able to go to the concert yet, but this was so I have these photos from her concert. I mentioned already that I shook Tina Turner's hand. I mentioned that I fainted. The only time in my life when I fainted was when I saw her. But many people talk about how Tina Turner, and particularly women who are in difficult situations with their relationships and they're abused, talk about how Tina gave them strength. And Tina gave me that same strength, but it was different because I had a difficult relationship with my father. And one of the last times he and I had a tussle, my face was up against a Tina Turner poster. And something went through me, and that was the last time we fought. And it was like she was meant to be in my life to give me some sort of strength that I didn't know I had. And it was a power of believing and loving myself. But as I've grown older, also the power of forgiveness. She was very, very, very vocal about, in her stories, in her interviews, about forgiving and moving on, but the media just wouldn't let that happen. She was meant to be my sort of diva that I adored in so many different ways. And it's not the lightest memory, but it's one that gives me a lot of strength.
Yeah, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that. And then talk to us because, I mean, Tina, you said is your diva. What made you decide this is someone who I want to impersonate and drag? This is someone I want to pay homage to. What was kind of and also, what are some of the Tina numbers that you tend to gravitate towards?
Well, so obviously when I perform Tina, I mean, I am not a black drag queen. And some people will say, why are you doing this? And my drag mother, I would call her, owned Mothers here in Rochester, New York. And it's where I started doing drag. And she said, do you love her? Yes. Are you making fun of her? No. Then she said, get out there and do it. And I joke afterwards that, you know, that it's the fattest, whitest Tina Turner you'll ever see. And it's Joy Behar impersonating Tina Turner. So I'm in on the fact, but that people will say the essence and the energy and the love is there. And so I have done, at the close of our Big Wig show that I've been doing for 20 years now with Aggie Doon, we always close with Proud Mary. And I do a lot of her live songs, like What's Love Got to Do With It, where she, that was one where she said she got to play with the audience and she was able to allow herself to have some fun and tease with the boys, saying What's Love, and the girls and the women, you know. And she didn't improv much in concerts, but she did do that. And I have to tell you another story. Oh my gosh, it was in Radio City, and Tina Turner is there, and she was just fumbling a lot, and she kicked during one of her opening songs, and her shoe flew across the stage, and they brought it out and put it back on her. And then she took it off afterwards, improvised, and she's like, ladies and gentlemen of Radio City, quality. And, you know, and she showed her, how do you say it, Louboutins? I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
She showed the shoe. She said, quality. And I was just like, you know. And so I've had the opportunity to see her many times and see those things, and just the realness that she brings to the stage. And I'll just say this last thing. If you are looking for more on Tina, she has these end of life spiritual books, but she also did Beyond, and it's all of this music about her spirituality and her Buddhism. And if you're looking to meditate and connect with her, she speaks to your soul, and she gives that gift before she passed as the last thing she did.
Thank you. I love all of this, and please don't ever apologize for giving us those amazing stories. That's exactly why we asked you to be on this episode. I'm so grateful. If you would like to see Kasha perform as Tina, as well as many other numbers, you can go to thebigwigsshow.com. Is that the correct address?
You can go to mrskashadavis.com or .net, and you can find the links to our Bigwig shows. But yes, we're touring. It's been 20 years, and we're touring our impersonation show. Of course, you know I do Liza. And then, of course, the kids say that it's not Liza. They say that it's Kris Jenner. But it's fine. They get the gist.
And you also, I believe, have a cruise coming up in 2026. Am I wrong?
Yes, and it's got all the drag celebrities. We've got Varla Jean Merman, we've got Detox, we've got Thorgy Thor, Aggie Doon, Ambrosia Salad, Darian Lake, and the list goes on. And so that is going to be fantastic. And you can find that information at Drag Me to the Stage.
Yes, and I, for one, am tending to be on that voyage, so if you hate my guts, you can come and throw a drink in my face. It's fine, because I'll have a drink package, and it'll be unlimited. So thank you very much, Kasha. Seriously, it's such a joy to have you on this episode. You can find me at Eric Resniak on Instagram, or just message the Great Pop Culture Debate account on Instagram or TikTok, or at GPCD on Mastodon. But what you really need to do right now is to sign up for our weekly newsletter, new every Monday at noon, and it tells you about everything new in pop culture that week. Movies, TV shows, video games will tell you all about what's new. Sign up by finding the link on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or via our link tree on any of our social media accounts. Now, it's time for a Patreon shout out. This one is for Caitlin Fitzgerald, who has been supporting this show since April 2021. Thank you, Caitlin. While we don't need another hero, we are grateful to have one like you. If you would like to get a shout out on a future episode, become a Patreon supporter by finding the link on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com. Now let's move on into round 2 while something beautiful remains. First up, the panel is split between 1-seed Private Dancer and 2-seed The Best. Amma, tell us why, when it comes to Tina. Any old music will do, but you prefer the Private Dancer make the final 4. Derek, The Best is calling you because it needs you. Its heart is on fire. Give it everything it needs to make the final 4. Amma, please go first.
So, is it best song or is it most associated with the artist? And most of the time I've made my decision based on what's most associated with the artist. But in this case, I did not do that. I picked the one that I liked better. And I do like Private Dancer better. I think it came at like a really interesting time in her career when she was trying to kind of reestablish the type of music she was known for. And it did that really powerfully. I also then want to bring in the fact that The Best is now, it's another one that has taken on a second life, not unlike I Can't Stand the Rain, thanks in part to Schitt's Creek. So much so that I love that finale. I think they did a beautiful job ending it, and yet I felt a little bit let down. At that point, it probably would have been pretty infeasible, but Tina Turner didn't show up. And I was like, could they have gotten her? Is that possible? And just waited for it, and it didn't come. But I'm grateful that it's given it that kind of extended life. People know the song and really enjoy it. Noah Reed's cover is beautiful. You can buy it through like wherever you buy music. Wonderful. And then they do bring the Tina Turner version back in when David does the lip sync for Patrick. But yeah, just thinking about the fact that one of them had to be a pick for me. And this is where I chose Private Dancer.
Okay, thank you. Derek, talk to us about The Best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of gutted because I adore Private Dancer. For me in this matchup, it needs to be The Best, but like I think that Amma has, facts and opinions both ways for both of these songs, and frankly, so do I. I do think that maybe we have a little bit of recency bias because audiences were reintroduced to The Best, in Schitt's Creek, so there's that. But for me, The Best, it's got that pitch perfect 80s Tina sound. It's fucking powerful. The lyrics are spectacular. Tina sings the hell out of it. Like so many of Tina's iconic hits, this is another cover. It was actually originally recorded, like you said before, by Bonnie Tyler in 1988. But since Bonnie Tyler's version failed to launch, only a year later after its release, here comes Tina with her version, which through her incredible vocals and a key change and the addition of a bridge, it just absolutely touches the stratosphere. With The Best, you have the fact that it was originally a Dire Straits song, and then Tina, made it her own and actually had most of the musicians from Dire Straits as the backing, accompaniment for this song. Private Dancer's got a darker, sexier contribution to the album of the same name. So I honestly could go either way here. I'll be perfectly honest.
I hear you. Mrs. Kasha Davis, do you prefer Private Dancer or The Best?
Well, when I think about Private Dancer, I remember the video as a young teenager, and she took the lipstick and she went, ugh. And every time I get into drag, I go, ugh. No. I always thought that was so funny, but then like the video itself just was so iconic, and it was when she came back. But you just reminded me though about Schitt's Creek. Oh my goodness, and that was so beautiful, and the song continues to sort of get to be reborn. The best. Private Dancer was one of my first because that album was the first. The best, when I perform it, the audience just lights up. So that is where I would land probably on the best.
Okay, yeah. And I'm also going to throw it to The Best. A great job defending Private Dancer. We will move The Best into the final.
I didn't expect to win this one.
The majority of the panel wants to keep being good to Once He'd Better Be Good to Me, but Derek is trying to crawl out of the ruins, out of the wreckage, to stump for 2 seed We Don't Need Another Hero. Kasha, tell us why you are still captured by the spell of Be Good to Me. Derek, please go first.
Listen, I get it. The lyrics of Better Be Good to Me are relatable. I just think she has better songs. Not least among them is We Don't Need Another Hero from the 1985 soundtrack to Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome. And my God, do the lyrics of this song hit differently here in 2024? Because really, all we want in life is to be beyond the Thunderdome, right? I mean, I wonder, when are we ever going to change living under the fear till nothing else remains? There's got to be something better out there. Love and compassion, their day is coming. That's Harris Wall's 2024 right there. Thank you very much.
Right?
And add to that all that and an emotional vocal appeal that only Tina can provide. And this is just the superior song for Here and Now. It also received nominations at the Golden Globes for Best Original Song and at the Grammys for Best Female Vocal Performance. It also peaked at number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100, and it is unquestionably one of Tina's biggest hits. So it's my pick to move forward from here, and I hope you will join me.
Are we in Thunderdome right now? Is that where we are? We're in Thunderdome. I didn't realize that. Kasha, go. Yes, you're going to say something,
I got to tell you. So I'm so grateful you said that, because I have been recently performed it, and I thought in the middle of it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is right now. This is right now. And so I can relate to what you're saying. Now, Better Be Good to Me, I thought was, at the time when I learned the story of Ike and Tina, I thought it was her like fighting back, and so I liked that. And I grew up in a house where a woman was going to stand up for herself, and I liked that. That is why I always liked that song. It was one of those times where she's standing up for herself in those marital woes and difficult times. So that is why I had chosen Better Be Good to Me. But the turn of events, I could be swayed based on We Don't Need Another Hero being so current.
All right. Amma, do you have a which way are you going? You're going Better Be Good to Me, or are you thinking We Don't Need Another Hero?
Honestly, I'm swayed here. I am. Huh? I'm going to go in the way of We Don't Need Another Hero. There is a kind of currency and almost an urgency to it now that Better Be Good to Me, to Derek's point, like on any given day, I'm like, yeah, that feels right. But there's like a perpetual that feels rightness to that, whereas We Don't Need Another Hero feels like right now.
Yes.
And I don't know that I was thinking about that when I first filled out the bracket. We were living in a very different political climate at the moment we were doing this. So yeah, I'm over to the other side.
All right. We in fact do need another hero. Kasha, you're fine with hero moving forward?
Yes.
All right, so if you listen to the show, you know that we cannot stand a child choir, and yet We Don't Need Another Hero has made the Final Four. Next, the bulk of the panel wants the big wheel to keep on turning, and for 1 seed Proud Mary to keep on burning into the Final Four. But I do want to put up a defense for 2 seed I Don't Want to Fight. Amma, don't lose 1 minute of sleep as you push Mary into round 3. I will explain why this is not the time for letting go of I Don't Want to Fight. I'll go first. So this song was the theme for Tina's 1993 very autobiographical film, What's Love Got to Do with It? I mean, you listen to the lyrics about a person who's exhausted from a toxic relationship, who just wants to let go and move on with their life. You would think, as I did, that Tina herself wrote or contributed to the writing of the song, but no, it was actually co-written by British singer Lulu and was originally offered to Sade, who passed on it and gave it to Tina instead because she thought it was a better fit for her and her story, and Sade was absolutely correct. This melancholy, almost dreamy song is a perfect fit for this film, offering up a kind of happy ending to the subject who has gone through so much. Like Tina herself, it's a song about surviving and coming out the other end of something better and stronger. That emotion is evident in Tina's vocal, which is powerful but also contemplative. We know that Tina can belt, and she's quite restrained here, and that is so effective. I love this song. I've loved it from the moment I heard it, but I also understand why it would get bounced against Proud Mary at this juncture. Amma, why don't you talk to us about Proud Mary?
Yeah, I think especially your note about how she sings it, like there is this power and this kind of like assertiveness that comes from most Tina Turner songs, and this just kind of pulls that back. Like when you really hear what she's singing about, she's like, I'm tired. Yeah. And yet it doesn't sound like the singing is difficult. Like she's definitely still in it, but you really get like, we're done here. Can we be done here? And I love this song so much. At the same time, at this juncture of the bracket, Kasha's show ends with Proud Mary. Tina Turner's musical ends with Proud Mary. Like, it's the one, right? Like, between the two of these, I think if we're then moving forward to, like, the Tina Turner-ness of it all, Proud Mary can't go out yet, I don't think.
I hear you. Derek, are you with Proud Mary, or are you with I Don't Want to Fight?
I mean, Creedence Clearwater Revival, I don't know her. No, this is Tina's song. It is Proud Mary for me.
It is Tina's song. Kasha, is it I Don't Want to Fight or Proud Mary?
Well, I Don't Want to Fight was a time, I think she was singing to the press. She was singing, she wanted to be the end of telling that story. And she wanted her life and all the success she had in Europe and filling stadiums and all to be the next chapter. So she was saying like, I don't want to do this anymore. And she never was able to succeed in letting go of that story. Proud Mary wasn't necessarily, as you said, it was a remake, but she was this energy of, just keep on turning, keep on moving, and this positivity. And so I stand with that one.
Awesome. So I believe we have Proud Mary moving forward, which I do think is the correct decision. Finally, in round 2, it's a unanimous decision in favor of 1 seed What's Love Got to Do with It over 2 seed Let's Stay Together, which is only physical, only logical. But we have barely discussed What's Love so far. So Kasha, I would like to ask you to speak on it briefly, if you don't mind.
Oh my gosh. What's Love Got to Do with It? It was the comeback song. Let's Stay Together got her recognition for the idea that she was going to be a solo artist. But then What's Love Got to Do with It was the one that just threw her back into the mainstream. And she hated it. And she didn't want to record it. And she fought the producers and the writers on it. And if you watch any of the documentaries or the things, she did not want to do it. And so she was surprised. And then when she sings it live, she tries to make it a little bit more rock and a little bit more fun. But it's so interesting how she went from I want to do it my way. And then she went with the experts and they truly helped her. And she became a superstar from that song.
Yeah, I mean, it is her all-time #1 song. It's her biggest success. And the fact that she was a 44-year-old woman of color and having the biggest success of her life with this song is incredible. Just incredible. It's an amazing testament to her and the ability to do this. So that's it, folks. That's our final 4. We're going to take a quick break and have our say and visit every discotheque. Shame, shame, shame. We'll be right back after these messages.
Listen up, all you groovy cats and cool kittens. Are you tired of being the silent spectator in the grand circus of pop culture? Well, fret not, my fabulous friends. It's time to strut your stuff and shake up the status quo by taking our polls. Let your opinions sashay down the runway of pop culture history like a fierce drag queen at Mardi Gras. Trust me, darlings, it's more thrilling than a game of Twister with the cast of the Brady Bunch. So stop sipping your lukewarm tea and join the fabulous fun. Head to greatpopculturedebate.com and find the polls section. You know I love a good poll.
And we are back with the final four of our best Tina Turner song debate. At this point in the show, I always like to take a step back and see if it shook out the way I expected it to. So we have The Best, a 2 seed, versus We Don't Need Another Hero, a 2 seed. Proud Mary, a 1 seed, versus What's Love Got to Do With It, a 1 seed. I think that's pretty close in terms of where I thought this would shake out. Kasha, does this make sense to you?
Yes.
It does, yeah. Amma, do you also feel like this is the correct final four?
I do. It's slightly different from the final four that I had, but not mad at any of it.
Nope, not mad at any of it at all. All right, so let's get into it. It's The Best versus We Don't Need Another Hero. I'm going to start at the top of the order and go around the horn. Which one? The Best or We Don't Need Another Hero?
I hate being the start of the alphabet. We always talk about this. We Don't Need Another Hero.
Okay. Derek, is it The Best or We Don't Need Another Hero?
The Best is the obvious answer. And I'm not going to go with the obvious answer here. I'm going to go with We Don't Need Another Hero for all the reasons I listed earlier.
All right. Kasha, is it The Best or We Don't Need Another Hero?
We Don't Need Another Hero. I was originally thinking The Best, but I mean, here's my We Don't Need Another Hero gold version.
Oh my God.
It's a chainmail.
How heavy is that, Kasha Davis?
It's heavy, but it's a gold version. And based on all of our conversation we had earlier, that's my choice.
Yeah, I mean, just wearing that must be a workout.
It looks like it has heft to it. Like the way you picked it up, I was like, that's got some heft.
It does. It's one of the designers, RuPaul's Drag Race designers. His name is Tony Iniguez. And he does the designs for a lot of the mini challenges and maxi challenges. But it's got chains, you know. But I said to him, I said, I want to do this. And he said, well, let's not do it on the nose. Let's do it in gold. You know, and so when I come out in that one, it's like, you know, it's Tina, but it's my version.
Yeah.
And by the way, folks, we will have photos and videos of Tina, as Kasha, as Tina, up on the website and on our social media with this episode. So please do check that out. We are going to move We Don't Need Another Hero into the final two. It's Proud Mary versus What's Love Got to Do With It. I'm going to start with Derek Makita. Where are you going on this one?
I am sticking with What's Love Got to Do With It.
Okay. And Kasha, between Proud Mary and What's Love Got to Do With It, where do you think you want to go?
So, a Proud Mary. I'm going with Proud Mary because it's the one that she did from the beginning, really. Started back with Ike and Tina and then went straight through to the end. And it really encompasses her energy and her positivity. And she gets to play. And she also, gets a little slow choreography into the wild and crazy.
Love it. Amma, where are you on this one? Is it Proud Mary or What's Love Got to Do With It?
This is I know Curtis hates it when people go, this is a hard one. It is a hard one. What I will say is there's a series of walking workouts that I do on YouTube with this guy, Get Fit with Rick. So I just walk in my house, and that's how I work out when I don't want to go outside. And he released a Tina Turner workout probably about a week or so after Tina Turner passed, and I cried during the Proud Mary section, so I'm just walking in my house crying. That was the thing that happened. And then the other thing that comes to mind when I think about Ike and Tina Turner is one of my all-time favorite Arrested Development lines at Klimpy's when Lindsay and Lucille go, and she's like, I'll have the Ike and Tina tuna. And the waitress goes, plate or platter? And one of the best lines of the entire series, I don't understand the question and I won't respond to it.
Thank you for getting that reference into this episode.
Which I use all the time because sometimes people ask you wild stuff and I was like, I'm not taking that seriously. With all of that said, What's Love Got to Do With It was so special for so many reasons to Tina's career overall. Like, it's the biggest hit. It's the name of the biopic. Again, like going back to like, what is Tina Turner? Name a song. Either of these songs could do that, but this one's just her. So What's Love Got to Do With It is my answer.
So I would go with Proud Mary here, which would give us a 2-2 split. Let's go to the maxi seeds to see which is the higher seed. And believe it or not, it's Proud Mary. Proud Mary was the second highest vote getter, and We Don't Need Another Hero was actually the fifth highest vote getter, which is shocking. But yes, that means that it will be Proud Mary in the final two. So it's a final two of We Don't Need Another Hero versus Proud Mary. I'm actually going to save Kasha till the end. I want to start with Derek. Is it We Don't Need Another Hero, or is it Proud Mary?
I really want to vote for We Don't Need Another Hero. Because it's the less obvious answer, but I do think in the matchup between these two songs, it should probably be Proud Mary. Yeah.
I'm a Marfo. Is it Proud Mary or We Don't Need Another Hero?
I have to say, while this is pretty close to my final bracket, this final two I did not expect. I had it going the opposite way both times. Essentially the same exact argument as Derek. There is a part of me, part contrarian, part pure enjoyment, that wants to go with We Don't Need Another Hero because I do love it a whole lot. I don't think I was on the episode when the child choir disdain was discussed. I don't know that I feel that way. I think it depends. I'm giving it to Proud Mary with an understanding that on any other day it could go very differently.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kasha Davis, is it Proud Mary or is it We Don't Need Another Hero?
So based on today's conversation, I'm feeling a lot of love for We Don't Need Another Hero. And this book, Happiness Becomes You, is her a final book that is being published in many different languages all around the world, and it's about her spirituality. And one of the last thing it says, based on the idea and the message between We Don't Need Another Hero, the end of the book, they say, Tina lights the way for us to always polish life's mirror so we can see ourselves clearly and change anything for the better. We hope you feel the same. And I feel like that's where we are right now in this country, with reference to what was said earlier with regard to the song. And so I'm feeling We Don't Need Another Hero is the one.
Eric, I'm flipping. I'm flipping.
You're flipping to
Yes.
We Don't Need Another
Yes.
Hero?
Yes.
All right.
Wait,
Do it.
So I am going to flip, and with all the texting that Kamala's about to do for us, someone just text her back and be like, listen, we had a conversation.
Yes!
Send her the podcast link.
Yes.
And just
Right?
say,
Yeah.
could think about it. Like, Freedom by Beyonce, amazing choice. And in so doing implies that Beyonce is endorsing her. Amazing. Wonderful. And you can have multiple choices.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to text
All
her.
right. Well,
I'm-
do it right now.
Listen, it's me, Mrs. Kasha Davis, texting you from my basement, and I have this recommendation. You never know. I mean, this is the world we live in now. Cher might tweet us back. You know what I mean? So she's always on there. You just don't know. And I think that the idea that when she sings that line, all the children saying, and I know you don't like your children choirs, but it's the idea that so much of their messaging politically is just looking at the schools and I love his emphasis on the free lunch and breakfast for kids, and just I mean, that's kind. There's always time for kindness. That's who we are. And I'm just going to throw this in there because we're on this rant, or I am. Vendela Krem posted that she drove past the American flag just the other day, and because of where we're at with Kamala, is that she started to cry and she felt proud again. And that is who I remember being as a child. And there was a period of time where I just did not feel that way, with a big chunk of time. And so it's such an exciting time. And that song, I would not be surprised if they already are on it, but we'll have to send her a text.
We will
And
do
$5
that. We will do that.
or something.
Absolutely, $5, exactly. So I will make it a clean sweep, and there you have it, folks. Our pick for the best Tina Turner song is We Don't Need Another Hero. Do you agree? Are you wondering what sense and good taste has got to do with it? Tell us how you really feel by leaving a comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or Mastodon. While you're there, make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. If you really enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to like and rate it on whatever platform you listen on. I want to say thank you to my panel. You are all simply the best. And thank you for listening. If you loved what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get even more exclusive content and you get episodes a whole day early. We hope you have a good one. And remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. Big wheel, keep on churning.
to tell you a quick story. I opened this book, and I have a little sister, and she wrote, I just found this in here, and she must have been playing and making fun of me, and she wrote, I, Nadia, which is my sister's name, and then she rewrote the contents of the book for I, Tina, and it's like, instead of Nutbush, it says Cherry Bush. It's just, instead of a fool in love, she wrote a smart person in love. Instead of Los Angeles, she wrote Found Angeles. So I cannot wait. I just found this as I'm digging through these old things. I can't wait to show her. She's in her 30s now, so she's going to crack up.
That's adorable.